Welcome back. Well, while the UN Security Council debates Libya today, we can now go to Cairo and speak to Muammar Gaddafi's Health Minister, Dr. Mustapha El-Zayedi. Thanks so much, Mustapha, for coming on. So they may be talking about it at the UN. Just take us through your view of Britain's part in destroying your country.
Thank you very much. I think the Security Council will not be able to have any decision. They have made two decisions in 2011, 1970 and 1973, which have legalized the military intervention in Libya from the Western countries. And there was a very strong push from Sarkozy, from France, and the government of Britain and the United States, Clinton and its administration. And the aim was to destroy the Libyan country and to break down the revolutionary regime led by Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. And I think now the change of government in United Kingdom maybe changed the position, because the previous government of the United Kingdom have supported limited to the militias and to the terrorist group, which I think it will not be actual in these days. Britain have a lot of problems, the Brexit and all these things, and I think the new government will look at the matter in a different way. And
so
now
are you hopeful? Because, yes, as you say, so you allege that Theresa May was helping the militias. She obviously voted for the intervention, which was obviously backed by ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But Boris Johnson is on the record saying British businessmen will turn Sirte into a new Dubai once the dead bodies are cleared up. What do you think ordinary Libyans made of that statement?
I think the Western government have made a very wrong analysis, and they have mistaken in their decisions, and now I think the result is totally different. Now the European countries and companies, they could not work at Libya at all. Libya is an unsafe country. It is a broken country. It is ruled by terrorist groups on one side and the militia groups, regional and tribal groups on the other side.
So you don't think Boris Johnson understands the country?
I don't think they understand. They have some reports from here and there. But I think now Johnson, he will concentrate. I don't know what will happen, but my analysis, he will concentrate on the internal Britain problems and the how they can go out of the EU without problems.
Okay, so who is this US citizen, Khalifa Haftar? And he obviously tried to overthrow the government of Muammar Gaddafi.
General Haftar is one of the Libyan officers who have led the revolution in 1969, and he was assistant of Brother Gaddafi. They have made a revolution which liberated the country from the Western military bases, the American and the Britain and the Italian existence in Libya. And in middle of 80s, he was in Chad during the civil war in Chad, supporting, as Libyan government was supporting one side of the Chadian people. And due to the intervention of France, America, a lot of countries at that time, he was captured as a prisoner of war, and he was moved to the United States.
Okay, but what is his role now? You mentioned Sarkozy. There are pictures of General Haftar with Macron in Paris.
Of course.
What's he doing?
When the things have started in 2011, all the opposition groups were collected together, and General Haftar was one of them, and he came with the supporting the NATO intervention in Libya. But I think at the end of 2011, he understood that the things is different. The aim was not to remove Gaddafi, but the aim is to destroy the country. He started rebuilding the Libyan army, who was the Libyan army was destroyed by the NATO intervention, military intervention. It was the strongest military intervention after the Second War. 40 countries have participated in the military activities in Libya in 2011. He is leading the army. It's not a militia of one person now.
Media in NATO nations is clearly against him. They're accusing him of war crimes. But I understand he had a conversation in April talking about oil with Donald Trump, Libyan oil with Donald Trump. Why would General Haftar be in discussions with Trump, with Macron, with Putin?
the Libyan problem could not be looked at only through persons. The Libyan conflict is not a tribal conflict. It's not a regional conflict. It is not a personal conflict. It is the conflict between the Western governments and interests, who have supported the terrorist groups, the Muslim Brotherhoods and other groups, the Shura of Benghazi, Shura of Darna, Al-Qaeda, the Libyan Islamic fighters, and all these groups was supported by the Western government to overthrow the government, the legitimate government of Libya, to destroy the country. And now Libya is almost disintegrated. Every one region is ruled by some militias, Musrata, Zawiya, Zwara, and etc. And General Haftar have rebuilt the army, and it's not a quarrel or a fight between Haftar and others. It is now a fight between the Libyan army. It's about 100,000 Libyan soldiers. Okay, it's led by General Haftar. And groups which is so-called national unity is not a government of national unity. It's a government controlling only Tripoli and Misrata and supported by militias. Everybody knows. Also, this government, Mr. Sarraj and his supporters and his colleagues, they say they are militias. Everybody knows who is leading the militias. There is no army in Tripoli. There is no official army in Tripoli. There is no legitimate body.
Do you think the Foreign Office understands that? I mean, there's an ambassador in Libya, and it's not in the rest of Libya, as you say. It's in a tiny proportion of the three countries, as it might be called now.
They understand the situation in Libya 2011, but they have made a decision to destroy the country. And we told them at that time, I was a vice foreign minister in Libya, and we sent letters to all the European government, and we told them if the regime destroyed, the negative effect will be on Europe. Number one. And now what has happened? This is illegal immigration, these terrorist groups. When you have a country with 2,000 kilometers on the south shore of the Mediterranean without government, totally disintegrated, this means this stability of the Mediterranean region, of Europe, of Africa, and everybody. And this is what's happening in Libya. I don't know why the United Kingdom have till now supporting the militias in Tripoli.
Do you think that General Haftar was responsible for the bombing of the refugee camp, which killed 44 refugees?
No, I can assure it is not, because the air strikes was done on the military basis of the militias. And the question, why they make this immigration camp beside in a war region? It's a war region.
We spoke to former British ambassador Peter Millett, who said it probably is Haftar.
No, but you know, the United Nations have told everybody knows that at least 20 of the 40 people killed in the camp was killed by militias on the ground. Haftar have no militias on the ground, because the militias, they have attacked also the camp. This is a propaganda, and I am sorry that they are using civilians and the immigrant for propaganda reason.
I mean, we've been told in Britain that it was a humanitarian intervention. You were a health minister for Muammar Gaddafi. Just tell me, why do you think NATO targeted the Great Man-Made River project, $33 billion breadbasket project funded through Libyan money, not foreign aid? Why did NATO need to bomb that?
I can go back to the question from the beginning. It is an intervention for humanitarian basis. What is the humanitarian situation in Libya today? Tripoli, they have no electricity for 8 hours every day. They don't have oil. There is no fuel at all in the country. In the southern part of the country, for 3 months, there is no fuel. There is no communication. There is no transport. Only small air base in Tripoli that now the airplanes can fly it from here and there. So the humanitarian situation in Libya today is catastrophic. I hope that your station can go to Tripoli and look at the real situation. There is no health service at all. Libyans now go back to the life in the early 40s and 50s, I have said, in the last centuries. Everybody knows in the Arab region, they destroy the countries and the armies and the government in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya. They have tried in Egypt, in Yemen, and now they're in Algeria. They think this will create a good atmosphere for a secure Israel. And this is not. In fact, this is a against the security of everybody.
But this summer, obviously thousands of people escaping what the war was like and what the effects of the war were in Libya. Thousands have drowned in the Mediterranean because of EU policy and arguably NATO policy. How many thousands will die, do you think, this summer trying to escape Libya?
I think tens of thousands. Everybody knows Libya is a big shore, it's a very long, 2,000 kilometers, and it is almost in many points is a shortest point to Europe, and people came from Africa. And I can say there is a mafia, international mafia for the immigration problems. Was there any immigrant from Africa through Libya to Europe before 2011? Zero. Because there was a government controlling its borders, controlling its shores, and they work closely with the international community.
Okay,
so
well,
if you have a chaos,
just finally, do you think it was, looking back on it, do you think it was a mistake for Muammar Gaddafi to threaten the US dollar by creating an independent African currency, his attempts to create an independent African currency threatening the dollar?
It is not a mistake, because this is a misunderstanding from the Western government. If you have a strong Africa, if you have a stable Africa, if you have a stable, strong African economy, the international stability will be better. So I think there was a misunderstanding of the situation and miscalculation from the Western government. Gaddafi was working to unify Africa, to strengthen the African economy, to have an African position politically and socially in better situations, and this will help in the international stability. But of course, the companies, I think who controls the Western policy is the companies. And of course, this was a danger for some multinational companies,
Dr. Mustapha Al-Zaidi, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And that's it for the show. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk to Iran's foreign ministry today. British arms company BAE Systems involved in Yemen, the world's worst humanitarian crisis, releases profit figures. Until then, keep in touch by social media. See you then.